Now, how do you get there? It's very important you use good methods. And good methods, just to give you a few top points here, means that the course you are attending explains things in English. I cannot say this often and clearly enough. If someone teaches you German using German, run. It is a waste of time. It's scientifically proven to be a disadvantage, and it is only out there for economical reasons for the school, not for you. It's not a benefit for you if the school or the teacher teaches you in German. They do that because they can put anyone in the classroom, no matter what native language they have, and they can put any German teacher in front of you that only needs to know German. There are people who do not know English or Arabic or Farsi, whatever language you want. If you have a teacher that teaches you in your native language, well, very good. But the most common language out there is English, which is why Smarter German focuses on instructing in English. It's so important. It saves you lots of frustration, accelerates your learning by 200%. You need to practice intelligently. Many people ask me, why are there not more grammar exercises in your course? And by grammar exercises, they mean those predictable exercises where you just put in randomly or mechanically, not randomly, mechanically the endings or add a verb. Very simple exercises that after a certain time are predictable. I have some of those. They are entertaining to an extent, but they are not intelligent because you are a pattern recognition machine. You will recognize the pattern. If you don't recognize the pattern, then you have fundamental issues for sure, in the sense that the topic you're working on is not clear to you yet. Yeah. So they are a very weak way to show, okay, I got the gist of things, but you need to practice in a way that allows you to speak and use the language, also in written form, correctly, without having to think of any rules or gender, cases, sentence structure, all these things. They're good to know about, especially if you want to teach German one day. But if you don't want to become a German teacher, all these things are just there to support you. In the end, you need to practice in a way that just makes you speak without thinking. And that requires training and a very good course design. Individual lessons. And you might remember I said in the beginning that you don't need a German tutor, and I don't recommend that. So I don't mean hiring a German tutor. Individual lessons means if you go to a classroom with 10 to 20 or even 30 people next to you, that is not individual. That's group lessons. And you will learn in those group lessons because you are a learning machine. You cannot but learn. But you will not learn efficiently and effectively. So individual lessons means you work with an course, ideally an online course, that allows you to fit the content of that course to your daily schedule. Whenever you're free and feel like learning, you should be able to do so. No real-life classroom allows you to do that. They have fixed times, fixed places even. It's so outdated. Don't do that. So online courses allow you to study whenever you want, if there's no live tutor there, which again, you do not need. Individual also means that you can adapt the speed of the course to your biology, to your mental condition. Sometimes we are faster in what we do. Sometimes we are slower. Some people are by nature slower learners. Some people are faster learners. And there is no big difference between the two in the sense of quality of what they learn. Yeah, some people might be faster, but make more mistakes. And then they kind of work on the mistakes like I do. Some people are slower and more thorough. And in the end, they all end at their goal more or less at the same time. And even if you are a month or two behind, who cares? You have years to enjoy the German you've learned. It needs to be individual. That is a scientific fact. If you want to be effective and efficient, individual lessons is the key. And that's why online learning and teaching is not only the future, it's actually the present. There's no way around this. And you need to work with a real online course. And by real online course, I mean, how do I say that? Duolingo is not a real online course. Duolingo is a game. and therefore it's fun to play with. It's nice to do all this translation stuff they do, but they are mainly focused on translation. They offer listening, reading, but it's completely random. There is no concept behind Duolingo. There's a concept on a certain level, but from a teacher's point of view, I see no coherence in the texts. It's all random. And if I've learned one thing over the last 20 years, our brain doesn't like random information. It likes context. It likes continuity. And that's why in Smarter German's courses, we work with a story. A story is something that keeps you interested. You want to know what's next. And it also helps you to put things in context, and therefore understanding is guaranteed sooner or later. A real online course is not a vocabulary trainer. So you can work on Memrise or Anki and learn 2,000 up to 5,000 words. Why not? But that's just collecting bricks in order to build a house, but you never really build a house. Yeah, and I know if someone uses a vocabulary trainer that they do also other things. But I've come across people who actually wrote to me and said, I learned 2,000 words with my dictionary. And that's how I learned German, because that was the only thing available. Yeah. So a real online course is like a beautiful dish cooked with love that you actually enjoy. It's not just noodles cooked and put there and put ketchup on it so that you have some food. It does something, yeah, gives you some sort of energy, but it's not a pleasure. So a well-designed course actually makes you enjoy what you do. And as I said, Duolingo you might enjoy for a while, and by all means give it a try for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and see where you get. You're just losing time, that's all. Yeah, and you will learn words and stuff, but you will see you've been mainly collecting bricks, maybe a few beams to later put in the ceiling. As this is a longer journey, as I said, 9 months at least, but very likely up to 2 years, it's very important to consider motivation. Motivation is one of the most delicate things to take care of. It can be destroyed in an instant. Yeah. The most helpful thing is, of course, if you work with interesting materials. If you are strongly motivated, as I said, you can learn with a dictionary. Yeah. So, but there is a relation between the material and your motivation. If you have to eat up your motivation in order to go through really boring stuff, then you will not stay motivated long enough. So it would be nice if you could relate to the material, yeah, in a positive manner. Very likely the most important thing that will help you stay with the course is that you comprehend what you're doing. That doesn't mean you have to understand every single word, but you need to know what you're doing. And that's why it's so important that the instructions are in English and certain explanations of things need to be in English. Because if I did this in German, then there would always be even at least a grain of insecurity, of doubt, of ambivalence, and you want to avoid that when you learn something. You're sensitive in the beginning, you are in unknown waters, you can't express yourself as you're used to, and that makes people feel very shaky, very nervous as well, even on a subtle level. And why would I want to pour oil on the fire by just exposing you to explanations in German? That makes no sense. So you need to be able to make sense of what you're doing. You need to experience real success. And that means, certain tools have like experience points, leaderboards, and then they give you rewards. This is all nice. And maybe one day I'll add that to my course as well. But if that is the only thing that motivates you, you might be lucky to still make it pretty far. But if there is a crisis at one point, and usually there is a crisis at one point, it's really, really difficult to get out of that with just a little bit of bling bling. So it's a little bit like a carrot in front of your nose. If that carrot is just, tasteless, cheaply produced stuff from Spain, from a greenhouse in Spain, you will be very disappointed once you taste it. So real success is something that enables you, well, first of all, will show you that you actually got something, and you have like a eureka moment, like, oh yes. Another real success would be you live in a German speaking country or coming off for holidays, and you have a little conversation, no matter how it goes, but you order French fries and you get French fries. As simple as that. And these things are very, very important. If you are not in a German-speaking country, you might at one point start chatting with Germans on your gaming channel or wherever, whatever you do to get in touch with Germans. And there you have a very short conversation. All these little tiny things add up and they keep you going. Yeah, but don't get fooled by experience points and stuff, and gamification. Gamification is fine, but it's hollow in the end. It's very good as an add-on, like a decoration on a cake. It just looks nicer, but if the cake is shitty, the decoration doesn't do anything to make it taste better. It just looks better. I talked about intelligent feedback before. Get feedback in due time. That means either immediately or within a couple of hours, depending on what the task is. And it needs to be feedback that doesn't take the joy from you, the joy of discovering what's behind a mistake yourself. That you need to learn on your own terms means that, let's say suddenly you have an hour of free time. You feel like, oh, let me do some German. You should be able to do so within a minute. Sit on your computer, open it, enter smartergerman.com, and then dang, you're there, and you can do the next lesson without looking for anything, without getting your books ready or thinking about what do I do next. Bang, you open it, you are there in 1 minute, and you can work whenever you feel it makes sense. And yeah, it could be at 3 p.m. So don't make yourself dependent on other people, like make an appointment with your tutor or go to a German learning class live or even physically. It is really, it's so last millennium. What helps is that you feel accountable to someone. In my courses, you feel free to take me as a referee. You can say, Michael, I will do this by then, and then you can share your success with me. I will not check in with you personally because it's simply not possible and also not necessary. But you will feel like, okay, I promise I do this. I also have something I'll show you in a minute, a tool that will allow you to set clear goals and identify when you've achieved them. Also identify issues on your path towards these goals. And then there's a community. A community doesn't necessarily mean that you sit with people in a virtual room and learn together or exchange information or practice speaking. That never works. Yeah, very few people actually succeed in creating learning groups. Try by all means, but any speaking practice groups, they might be happy for a month max, and then the usual level of German exchange there is horrible. It's guten Tag, wie geht's? Mir geht's gut. Hast du heute gelernt? And if you're lucky, it gets a little bit beyond that, but after a month, it just burned through. So community is a place where you can instantly find questions where there's other people that respond to your questions or your experiences that you share. And therefore you see, oh, I'm not alone with my issues, and I can share my success with others. So it's nice to share the joyful moments of your life. That is what I understand under community. All these things, of course, are integral part of Smarter German courses. Yeah. And if you don't want to work with Smarter German, that's fine, but make sure that the course you use uses at least some of these points or considers some of these points. And even if it doesn't, remember this talk in 3 months from now, working with whatever you work with, just come to a conclusion. See, okay, I've spent 3 months now, so and so many hours. Where am I? Was it worth my time? Was it worth my money in case you paid for it? Always evaluate, and the same with Smarter German. Now, it wouldn't be called Smarter German if I didn't have a beautiful tool for this. It took years for me to figure out how can I actually help people with the motivation. It's such a delicate thing to work with, and the science is still in the we say Kinderschuhe, so in the beginning. Okay. Thank you for tonight. Lovely questions, by the way, all of you. And hope to see you next week or another masterclass or in the free lesson or in the paid lesson. You're always welcome. Any support is appreciated, and any question is a gift because it helps me to understand what you really need and what I can add to my course. Yeah. Have a lovely evening. Okay, I see that. And yeah, you're always invited to reach out to me if you are a Smarter German student via the community, or if you are not yet decided to work with me via email. Okay, take good care of yourself, stay healthy, and enjoy your day or evening or your night.